Adrienne Bailon-Houghton has been in the public eye for decades. First as a singer in the groups The Cheetah Girls, and then as a talk show host on The Real. Now she is the new co-host of E! News next to our pal Justin Sylvester.
Yes, but no role has been more important to Adrienne than the mother of her 9-month-old son, Ever. And look at Ever!
Stop it!
And now Adrienne is opening up about her years-long journey with infertility, and she's hoping to help other women find a little hope. Adrienne, we're so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Isn't it funny as we're sitting here on this set and you're talking about this journey, and this is something like if you were to think back to your teenagers, your 20s, whenever, you would have never imagined that this would have been your journey to motherhood.
Never. I actually have my mom here with me, and I'm like, literally my whole life, she was like, if a boy looks at you, you're gonna get pregnant. So that was my idea, my entire, being Latina, I've got hips for days. I thought for sure this was gonna be easy. When my husband and I first got married, we're like, we're gonna wait a year, we're gonna travel, we've got time. And then we were like hit with the idea that, hey, you really might want to get started sooner. I went to a doctor, actually, because initially I thought glamorously, I'd like to have twins. We hear these stories. It's actually the most ridiculous thing and wildly ignorant now when I look back.
So you did IVF. That was your first road, and that's expensive and also taxing.
Very expensive. And I now, looking back at 6 years of fertility treatments.
Wow.
8 rounds of IVF.
Oh my gosh.
Multiple miscarriages. And then I get this beautiful little boy via surrogate. And I constantly am talking about the journey to motherhood and talking with my girlfriends. I recently went to like a Kourtney Kardashian Poosh event, and they were serving drinks, and this was literally right before he was implanted. I was going through another cycle of IVF, and I said, oh, I'm not going to drink because I'm actually having my egg retrieval in like the next 2 days. And every woman at the table was like, what is it like? What's going on? And it just made me realize in that moment how much women need these conversations, how important it is to be open and honest and normalize fertility journeys and a journey to motherhood.
Yeah, because the journey can be filled with some dark moments that we don't always talk about. And I think when you're feeling alone, when really you're not alone, many women struggle with this. And you said even having a surrogate gave you some moments filled with like mom guilt, like before you were even a mother.
100%. And it's crazy because that was my last option was having a surrogate. I had implanted all of my other embryos, and he was my last little embryo, and the doctor suggested, would you consider surrogacy? And even when I first talked about it with my family, there was hesitation because sadly coming from a Latino family, they're like, why would you want somebody else to carry your baby? And having my mother even in the room when my son was delivered, it was a different experience. I was there for the birth of my sister's 2 daughters. I was in the room. This was completely different. I was pulling my son out of someone else's vagina. It sounds wild, but it wasn't any less beautiful. And it didn't make me any less of that child's mother. And I think that's so important. I heard this quote once that said, what hurts us the most in life is the idea of how things are supposed to be.
Totally, expectations.
Expectations. And so for me, to some extent, having a surrogate made me feel like I was being robbed of maternity photos and my husband seeing my changing body, or even the idea of how my child was created. You know, that I don't have a story to say about a wild night. Instead, it was with syringes, but I made that beautiful, even with how we made it like ritual. We put certain songs on and we said certain prayers, and just how my faith played a huge role in my journey. So I always tell any woman that out there is going through this or struggling with this, I'm constantly telling them, your journey is going to be just as beautiful, if not more, because it's yours. And it gets you there. And Hoda, it's really funny because I actually watched an entire special on your journey while we were getting ready to implant Ever. And I ended up buying the books, and I would do all these things in faith, you know, like I would buy baby clothes, I set up a nursery, and those things just helped me get through it. So,
well, I love what you and your husband are doing too to help other moms or moms to be, because it's an expensive journey to do IVF. It's like a privilege to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
So many barriers.
Surrogacy, all of this costs so much money. So for me, I actually did an entire series on my journey on my YouTube channel, Love Always Adrienne, and we called the series Faith and Familia because it took faith faith to have my familia. And I come from humble beginnings. I was raised on the Lower East Side in the projects, and girls that grew up like me don't get chances, like 8 chances at IVF. And so we really wanted to start the Faith and Familia Foundation to raise money to help families financially start, you know, their families. So this is really important to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a beautiful gift, because it's like you knew what it felt like to struggle. Now you know what it feels like to hold your beautiful babe, and you want to give mothers that same chance.
Just to give them that chance. I've even brought on doctors onto our board that are actually going to do pro bono work, in the sense of like giving consultations and just being able to tell somebody, steer them in the right direction, because I had so many questions. I didn't know why my body wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, or why I was having these miscarriages, and information is key. So even being able to give that to families is going to be really special. So anything I can do to turn the pain that I've gone through into purpose means everything to me.
You're doing it, Adrienne.
And if you didn't get enough of this beautiful Adrienne, you can also catch her on E! News. She's on weeknights at 11 on our sister network. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you,
so much. I'm so
Adrienne.
happy you're here. Thank you.